Hello there, kia ora. This is something called the TARDIS. It has something called a perception filter, so even when you see it, your eyes are sort of redirected to not see it. Right now, the government's wishing that they had a perception filter. Well, I mean, they would if they had any imagination, but they would love to use it on something like their plan to disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of potential voters. And we know this with the distraction techniques that they've been using over the last few days, like how on Monday they very quietly released the Attorney General's report written by well-known woke lefty Judith Collins that said that their changes would go against the Bill of Rights, and they did this at the start of a very quiet day. That report highlighted the change was inconsistent with the Bill of Rights in three places and would disproportionately impact Māori, Pacifica and disabled communities, renters and those with busy lives, like young parents. Then they made an announcement on Monday about surcharge fees on non-contact payments for most cards. And to be fair, this is a broadly popular policy, and we know it was rushed because it lacks detail. There's no detail on whether they'd be banning the charges from the terminal, meaning that businesses would need to increase costs to cover the charges that still exist, or if they're going to ban banks from charging these fees, which would be a better option for consumers and for shopkeepers, but would mean that the coalition run the risk of pissing off banks, who are kind of big fans of the coalition's biggest donors, and they've already kind of pissed banks off with talk about anti-woke legislation. Oh, and that came just days after that pointless announcement about moving the names around on the passport. A stupid policy that they've tried to justify with the most ridiculous reasons, like how customs overseas might get confused when, I can say from experience that, they literally just want to check the security info inside your passport, but it gets people talking, and it helps solidify their racist base members. And that was just after removing voluntary guidelines for amateur sports on trans inclusion from Sport NZ, which took over headlines and once again stopped a lot of hateful people asking tough questions about election disenfranchisement, like, is it fair or right to make it harder to vote? Should it be fine to disenfranchise the 110,000 people who changed their address or enrolled on election day in 2023? Or the 600,000 who changed their details in the early voting period? Or the 93,000 people who enrolled for the first time in that early voting period? Or is it a really good idea to change a law disenfranchising so many people based on the fact the government was annoyed that the Electoral Commission delivered results exactly according to the schedule that they provided before the election period, but they were impatient about it and refused to get into really deep coalition negotiations until that final count was released? Or the fact that these results could have come when the government actually wanted if half the resources requested by the Electoral Commission weren't actually denied to them. Oh, but don't worry, the Prime Minister made a comment in the post-cabinet press conference declaring that we're back on track. But it's still $10 a block, but sure. It's all perception-filtered dreams from the coalition PR team. Look over here so you're not asking why the government is once again ignoring the Bill of Rights to punch down on what their own members call dropkicks, bottom feeders, and the great unwashed. If that doesn't encourage you to go out and make sure that your voting details are up to date, then I don't know what will. Hey, thanks for checking out today's video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you get more updates as we go along and deal with these guys for the rest of the year.